Hi, Steffi. Thanks for coming to visit today.
Yeah.
I'm fine.
What are you doing?
I'm collecting some Tulsi seed here.
Nice.
Yep. This is the Ocimum africanum. You want to strip some?
Yes.
Okay. Don't strip the green part because that's got immature seed in it.
Okay.
Only strip the brown part.
Is that for the seeds?
That's for the seeds. I'll show you, we can do a little test here. We call this temperate Tulsi, but really it's Ocimum africanum. It's one of the African basils, and basils have their gene center in Africa and in India, and this one hails directly from East Africa, and there's the seed right there.
Oh, wow.
And you can see the little brown ones. The little brown seeds will dry up and be blown away when we process the seed, so that we'll have only black seed, and that's seed of high germination.
Nice. Now what do you have here then?
This is a carrot that's left over from last year. It's a Danvers half-lawn carrot planted on January 21st in 2020. I'm almost ready to plant this stone bed, this tortuga, with winter vegetables again, so that we can have some green stuff in our diet and some orange stuff. Do you want me to pull this one up? I need to pull this up to make space for the new carrots.
Yes.
Okay.
What do I need to do?
Well, you watch. See, these are open pollinated carrots, so, and I don't want to break it, so I give it a little extra lift.
Oh, look at
There you go.
that.
Yeah.
Wow.
See why they call it half long is because it grows down this far and then it stops. And then this one just has a little tail on it. It actually is anthropomorphic. It has two little, it's a little guy.
So what do you do this for? What is this for?
Well, the stones will keep the bed warmer because they absorb the solar rays, and they keep it warmer through the night. If we didn't have a heater in the greenhouse, they would probably keep this bed from freezing. But as it is, I do have a heater in the greenhouse, and I set it for 55 degrees Fahrenheit, which is the minimum temperature that tropics ever get. That's why I chose that temperature.
Right.
It's 55. And so that gives us the opportunity to grow any kind of temperate vegetable species. We'll probably plant spinach here, lettuce, things for salads and green smoothies, and some carrots. The carrots are particularly good for the kids when they come around.
They like them?
They like the sweet carrots for sure. Okay, here's one of the features of the greenhouse is that it's large enough that I'm able to dedicate tables to a certain environment. And that makes it easier for me to water appropriately, because these are all aloes. These are all open pollinated species, what are known as species aloes. All of them from South Africa, Gondwana land. The most ancient plants on Earth are located largely in South Africa, because when there were in Gondwana land, that was the southernmost continent 550 million years ago during the Jurassic, and that continent split apart into India, Australia, and even South America was there. It split apart, but it all split from a center, which was South Africa. And so in South Africa, the plants are extremely ancient. It was relatively undisturbed. I mean, there was some kind of scrunching of the landmass, but the aloes are vestigial to Gondwana land. And so we find in aloe species some of the most interesting medicinal constituents that date very, very far back in prehistory. So those are the anthraquinones, and these anthraquinones are stimulating to human digestion.
All of these new babies you got started here.
Yep. And these would be curry leaf trees here that are from the mother curry leaf right over here, the berries. They have no testa, no seed coat, so you just squeeze the seed right out of the fruit, and then you let it dry overnight, and then you plant it in a very fast draining mix like this. It has a lot of pumice in it, white pumice, and then I put it underneath these lights that are full spectrum 8 bulb T5s, and that gives enough warmth from above. So you want the warmth from above, just like the sun warms things from above. There's nothing short of geothermal activity that warms things from below. So you want the warmth to come from above, and the plant then will sprout and grow from above. And you can see here, this is the seed right here. It's held aloft, and then this is the plumule. So the seed is not rotted. Instead, it's still there. That serves as a nutrient resource for the seedling, as well as it's photosynthesizing. You can see that it's green. So it's acting as a surrogate leaf.
So what is that? That is the seed, or this is the seed? What is that yellow?
This yellow thing is just a part of the stem. It's kind of twisting around in there. That's characteristic to these, and sometimes that even causes them to split, and you get 2 plants in one seed, and then you can carefully divide them apart and plant them separately, and you get a little bit more plant out of your seed that way. An environment where the human has some influence, and so our human influence here is to cultivate in between the seedlings, and what that does is it oxygenates. It keeps the plants really, really healthy. They appreciate the attention, and it breaks up that surface so that when we do water, the water goes directly down into the substrate instead of puddling. It's never a very good idea to have water that puddles up on top when you water your plants. I'll give you an example. This is a flat of white sage that I planted, and when I was watering it, I noticed that because of maybe the way the table is dipping, or because of the way that the soil was put in this flat, this area right in here was where the water would puddle every time I watered it. And there's no white sage coming up in this area where it's puddling, versus here you can see my line where I planted, and here again my line of seeds where I planted, and here again my line of seeds where I planted. All the way down to the bottom, everything is germinating, but in the spot where the water is puddling, nothing is coming up. So this indicates that the white sage, Salvia apiana, requires a fast draining mix in order to germinate properly. Also, you can see these, you can tune into these very tiny, slight environmental differences. Like, it's a little bit warmer here underneath the lights than it is here on the outside edge. So these came up first. You can see that more clearly here where I planted tulsis. These are Krishna tulsi, the Ocimum tenuiflorum, the small flowered tulsi. And the ones that are here in the warmer spot under the light are coming up first, and the ones that are down there on the outside edge have yet to germinate. Tiny bits of variables that make the difference between success and failure.
Right. And one little thing that you never think about.
One little thing that you never think about. Like somebody will say, oh, I planted the Malwang seeds in peat pots and none of them came up. And my answer is, Of course none of them came up, because Ma Wang does not grow in peat. It grows in these northern steppes that are very sandy and very fast draining and have almost no nutrients in the soil at all. So I plant my Ma Wang in pure sand. It's a pure sandy medium, and I plant the seeds quite deeply, and I water only occasionally when the surface has completely dried out. And when I do that, then I have good success. Why? Because I'm mimicking the natural environment.
Right.
If you take a Ma Wang plant and you fertilize it with organic compost, it will immediately die. Because organic compost is not something it gets in its native environment, and so it's not attuned to that kind of input. So the plants need to be cultivated according to the original pattern that they experienced in the wild. And that's largely the secret of growing a diverse garden of medicinal herbs, is the ability to mimic those wild conditions. Because otherwise, really, humans set up cultivation for what? Vegetables. And vegetables are cultigens. They've been chosen to be grown in a rich, moist, sunny, water-filled environment, and that's how you grow good lettuce or good corn or any of these other vegetables like a squash or something of that nature. If you use those techniques to try to grow a wild medicinal herb, you're bound for failure.
Yeah.
This is the Cinghao, the Artemisia annua, which has been used for treating malaria. And in fact, there was a Nobel Prize that went out to the person who, quotes unquote, discovered the use of Artemisia annua for treating malaria. But the Chinese have been using it for treating what they call summer fever for tens of thousands of years.
Right.
But anyway, smell.
Oh.
Sweet Annie.
Wow.
So it contains a constituent known as artemisinin, and that's a sesquiterpene lactone, which is, the sesquiterpene lactones are very active secondary constituents. And in fact, like a traditional plant like arnica has sesquiterpene lactones in it. Well, this plant does too, and this is a small one. The base of a mature plant of this nature will be like this big around, and we've already harvested the ones outside. This is just one that volunteered in the greenhouse, so I wanted to show it to you because this too is being used for treating COVID, and it has a lot of potential in terms of herbal medicine to treat coronavirus.
It has a mint but sweet smell.
Yeah.
Very
Well, that's why they call it Sweet Annie.
Sweet Annie.
Yeah, and there are a couple of different cultivars. There are early flowering ones that have been used in the floral trade, and then there are later flowering ones, which is what this is. You see, it's still flowering, and we're in November, and those are the ones that are medicinally most active. And they found that isolating the artemisinin from this plant and using it in treatment was not nearly as effective as using an extract of the whole plant. So all of the diverse secondary constituents that are in the plant, besides the artemisinin itself, some flavonoids, some other sesquiterpenes, all of those contribute to the healing that's present in the plant. And that's why we go for whole herb medicine.